Welcome back for video game pickups for the month of October, Halloween themed edition of pickups with horror and creepy games. With that said, in the background, the music for the police station from Resident Evil 2. First up is technically a loose game that only came in this game I've already done a record playthrough of. Get a chance to check it out. It is nice though to get a physical copy even if it was loose, as it was dirt cheap. But yeah, the first up of the pickups is The Town of Light for Xbox One. Next up, for the Nintendo Switch, I found for a good price, actually at GameStop, Into the Dead 2, which is more of like a style, like current day like version of like an arcade classic shooter where you just have to beat droves and droves of zombies. And you have different types of modes and stuff. It's actually quite interesting. If you're looking for more of like an old school arcade experience on the Switch, this is probably one of the, I would say, best games to choose. To give you that feel besides getting the remake of House of the Dead. But definitely get a chance to check out this game. It's actually pretty good in all honesty. Next up, and the rest will be for PS4. Well, except for the final game. Next up, we have the original classic Little Nightmares, which I've been looking for this for a reasonable price for a while, and I lucked out actually at GameStop. When I picked up the previous game, I came across this, and I was like, yep, I'm taking full advantage and getting it. Since you don't always see the original Little Nightmares, and for a good price. Classic, very much feels like stop motion animation, and it feels like something that would have come from the mind of Tim Burton, which makes it all the more appealing to me, as Tim Burton is my second favorite director of all time. Next up, as I do have a weird fondness for the third game in the series, this is, of course, Five Nights at Freddy's Core Collection, which includes Five Nights at Freddy's 1 through 4, as well as Sister Location. And there, of course, we have Freddy Fazbear and the rest of the creepy animatronics, which you can get for a very reasonable price range at like Walmart and other places. So it was a nice little addition to get. Next up is one of the big ones for me personally, as I was happy to see this got a physical release. This is a indie developed classic Japanese style horror game that very much gives off a bit similar feel to another specific horror game from the PS2 era that is creepy as heck, but it's too expensive to collect and it never got a digital release. Now, if you're curious, on average this runs about $34.99 physical, but you can get this also digital for, I believe it's like $15 digital. So just know that you can get this for a very good cheap price digitally. But I just wanted to show support for the devs that worked on this. So it's really cool. As you see, total only about 5 gigs of space for it. But it's a really cool game, and I love, it's rare I see like classic style like Japanese horror games, which is unfortunate there aren't more of these, but still, this is really cool, especially if you like stuff like Ringu, or you like stuff like the old Fatal Frame series, which is superb. You'll probably enjoy this, honestly. Next we have, of course, Resident Evil 8 Village, which I got a while back because I found it on sale, super cheap, believe it or not. But I've been wanting to play Village, well, more than I have. So far, the only amount I've played is up until right before going inside the castle. So, I haven't played that much as of yet of the game, but it is great nevertheless. Personally, I really like the cover art. Second to last, Song of Horror. This was a game released by, of course, Limited Run Games. I like this cool little sleeve that you put over top the original, but I absolutely love the cover art for this case. It does give off definitely an eeriness. And last but not least is a game that has a heavy nostalgia for me personally, as I used to play this game a ton in the 90s. I love it. I always loved the design of the main character with his two swords. But just know one thing about this game: if you're curious about playing this yourself, this classic action platformer, it is freaking hard as heck. It's one of, I would put in probably, in my opinion, the top 10 hardest games I've ever played, like through beginning to end, is easily in the top 10 hardest games I've ever played. But keep in mind the era this came from, so it's not too surprising. But it's classic, and I really appreciate some of the stuff. There are flaws in the game, even I'll admit. But I love the overall design of stuff. It is interesting how the game also works. I like the portal world where you go to go from one world to the next. It's actually quite interesting. But there are not too many platformers I can think of even similar to this. It really does have very much a more gothic feel to the game. The music as well is very good and eerie, and that's what you want. Even though it's not technically a horror game, but it's heavily influenced from definitely many different elements of goth culture from the 90s, and it's appreciated. But with that said, I'll see y'all next time, same YouTube channel, and have a good and safe and happy Halloween, everyone.